Erros and welcome to another episode of Lancer Custom Werks, where I will be discussing the various mech builds you could make and play with Lancer. Monarch is a very simple mech. It only asks of you for one thing: all the missiles in the world. It works well enough with any ranged weapons, where upon critting, you can shoot a random target, but it can do much better with launcher weapons if you can reliably achieve lock-on, bypassing any cover and protection the target has. And if you face a staggering amount of problems, you have a staggering amount of missiles, and no problem can't be solved with enough missiles eventually. Not only that, Monarch can easily distance itself from its foes with its speed, and like the subject of the previous episode, it also has a sensor range of 15, with positive tech attack bonus, making it a very effective hacker on top of all its arsenal. The only issue is that you generally don't want to take hit with it due to your low repair cap, but that problem is suffered by most of the SSC lineup anyway. At least you have armor. Anyway, let's talk about its builds. As I have mentioned, Monarch likes missiles, which is why for the following 40 builds, you will commonly find Charanga and Gandava missiles in them. Charanga has multi-target capability and deals 3 damage per missile, which is very good for a main, while Gandava is just good. It's smart and seeking and accurate, a launcher version of smart gun so to speak. TLALOC class NHP and Javelin rockets will be quite common too. TLALOC lets you reroll missed attack, but immobilizes you, which won't be a problem thanks to the sheer range of the missile, while Javelin rocket is like deploying 3 small instant mines at once, and with creative usage of knockback like in Stormbringer, they can easily be free damage. Primarily, thanks to its preferred attack range and sensor range, Monarch can easily find itself taking the role of artillery controller, and artillery support, but there are some launcher weapon with rather short range, or rather people that find Monarch's high base speed to be useful in getting within melee range. So there are also striker controller, and striker support builds too, but they are much rarer because, well, why exactly they exist at all? Anyway, let's push all that aside first and talk about pure artillery build. This is Screw This Guy in particular, and it's about as close as it is to a standard Monarch build. A couple long-ranged and launcher weapons to take advantage of its traits, with the talents to back it up, and TLALOC to reroll any missed attack right back at someone else. Autogun and Hunter Lock are basically there for more damage, and Held Image is a very easy source of lock-on. Also, the thing about Stormbringer, is that not only can it knock enemies around and prone, it can also launch you away from your target and give you a big stunning attack on full charge. This basically fully complements Artillery Monarch, because you want enemies to stay away from you, and knocking them away and prone while also launching you away will constantly put distance between you and the enemies. Add in Monarch speed, and you are damn near untouchable to short-range enemies. Though even more commonly, you will frequently see Monarch builds that have both Charanga and Gandava missiles due to their sheer versatility in any situations. Like for example, this one over here has Lotus Projector to expose hidden and invisible enemies within Monarch's 15 sensor range. This build is also more focused on defense with the Type 3 Shield and Scorpion, making it a bit harder to crack. This one is more like, since Monarch fires a ton of missiles already, might as well make it cosplay a jet fighter. Ace and all theater movement can be a powerful combo, and since you will be staying up above, Tactician works well too. Flicker is especially useful here if you are planning to move a lot. It basically makes you much harder to hit, and universal compatibility is not only helpful but also very cool because there's nothing like firing all the missiles to get a second wind immediately. This one is all about range, Neurolink, external batteries, siege stabilizer mod. This build has a Gandava and Shatterhead that can hit all the way to range 33, that can basically ignore cover, which is absolutely ridiculous. Keep in mind that external batteries only works with weapon that deals energy damage. Charanga doesn't deal that. Not only that, this build has TLALOC once again to reroll any missed attack, along with Spotter since it's not going to be moving much. This one is less about all the range but still not planning to move much with Siege Stabilizer and Auto Cooler, which is also rather helpful because this is a Heatfall overcharge build, so you will have a lot of actions to fire a lot of missiles, or use other things like Heavy Gunner, Roller Grenade or Javelin Rocket to encourage people to move away from you. This one decided that since TLALOC will immobilize you, might as well use talent that do the same thing to you for more benefits, like Crackshot with Vulture DMR, which hit really hard especially with Walking Armory for special rounds. Kinetic Compensator will be helpful in ensuring hits too. This is Hell from Above. It might not have Charanga, but it does have a lot of area pattern launcher weapons like missile racks and RPG. Not only can these weapons hit multiple targets in a tight groupings, but this will also rapidly charge up torrent dice for the devastating Stormbringer action, which can not only stun, but also directly bypass evasion or cover because it's not an attack, which makes it very powerful. On top of that, this build has Roland Chamber for more impact, auto-loader drone for quick reload, and flak launcher because if you cannot fly, so must your enemy. And there's just like, so many examples of Monarch builds with Sharanga and Gandava that it's kinda ridiculous. However, Monarch does have one other thing, a heavy mount, which means, it can mount super heavy weapons. This is Phoenix, of Ash, and Hellfire. It has the Pinyaka missiles, which can not only fire 2 big missiles to strike a wide area, but can also delay the shot to next round for even more damage. The build is simple: fire the Pinyaka, activate Lucifer to reach danger zone, and then just keep on firing while maintaining danger zone to keep your heat down. Lucifer and Nuclear Cavalier could add up to a lot of additional damage, and with how large of a radius Pinyaka could strike, it would be devastating even if the bonus damage is halved. And if Deep Well isn't enough to keep the heat down, you still have Technophile and Black Thumb combo to patch stuff up, or just use the prototype weapon as a backup. This is also another Pinyaka Monarch, this one focused on all the range yet again, with basically everything possible, making the Pinyaka capable of reaching a ridiculous 38 range if it's in danger zone because Nuclear Cavalier turns all first attack roll of a turn to have energy damage. Now that's what I would call an ICBM. TLALOC is also here to reroll missed hits. Keep in mind that for area pattern weapon, TLALOC only reroll against a new target within the area. This super heavy Monarch has Cyclone Pulse Rifle instead, which has a rather interesting combo. You see, if you fire a loading weapon with TLALOC on, you get to reroll the attack to hit someone else without needing to reload. So, at the start of a turn, you can activate TLALOC, Crackshot, and Type 3 Shield at once on a target you want to miss, because Cyclone Pulse Rifle deal reliable damage which can damage people even on a miss, and then hits devastatingly hard on the next target with the reroll. You also have an auto-loader drone to make reloading a faster affair so you can quickly load in the next shot since you are not planning to move anyway. And this is Avenging Angel Gao Gao, a Leviathan Monarch. Basically, you will be firing Sharanga while charging in, with the aid of Ace, Skirmisher, and all theater movement, and then just sit still while spinning up the Leviathan and spitting bullets in every single direction. Apparently, this is a Monarch that's cosplaying an A10 Warthog. Bear in mind, spinning up the Leviathan only slows you, and you are still in a very speedy size 2 mech that can also fly, so you aren't suffering much in mobility with it spinning. TLALOC Leviathan is a very painful experience for anyone that's getting close, while Aegis and Javelin makes sure your position is well defended. This still counts as an artillery build despite the kinda short range because this build doesn't like people getting closer. Also, I would honestly suggest switching out integrated weapon with Neuralink since you probably want to have more range for the big gun. And that's basically how all artillery Monarch builds are like, you get more missiles or big guns and you do your best in shooting all of them at your targets, but with how good Monarch gets with its sensor range, it would be a shame to not use it well as artillery controller. This is if only it were so simple, basically just a Monarch with some tech system slapped on that surprisingly combo well. Aggressive system could cook up anyone that isn't close to you, Viral Sweep prevents them from moving close to you without getting cooked up, Heavy Gunner just let you stop anyone that's too close, and also, you are a Monarch, you can just run away forever with your speed. Whoever you are heat gunning is going to feel it. Also, HOROS 2 can give you protection, and you have Held Image to give free lock on. Keep in mind that Held Image doesn't 100% combo well with Spotter, because you need quick tech lock on specifically for Panopticon. To put it shortly, Monarch can achieve quite an amazing degree of controller shenanigans, its missiles just make things worse. This is Kill 6 Billion Ronin, this one prefers to have more speed and damage. Viral Logic, Heavy Gunner, and Javelin prevents things from moving close to you, and if they do, you have Skirmisher to run away. Having double autogun also helps in dealing a consistent damage each turn, and Held Image along with Hunter Lock doesn't hurt to have at all. This is Castigator General, because nobody expects a half Monarch, half Manticore, and half Caliban. Beckoner and Smite can be a devastating combo, or to teleport your ass out of enemy range. Hammer Launcher and Javelin can convince people to not get close to you, and Hardpoint Reinforcement lets you run out of dangerous situations while taking far less damage. This one is almost the same build, but I guess someone is planning to stick around more with Spotter, and having the hammer to be modded with stabilizer mod to reach range 10. This build is kinda like, if Erros works on everything, might as well just try it. Erros 1 and 2 are basically good for any situation, both offensively and defensively, and having 3 Vigilia rockets with Gunslinger and Stormbringer to knock people around won't hurt either. Vigilia is yet another good launcher weapon, it's just a highly accurate launcher and that's already very good, and with Neurolink, it can reach range 8, making it quite devastating. Heck, why not do that with Pinyaka missile too? Erros 3 can chain down an enemy, so even a delayed Pinyaka missile can hit them reliably for big damage. Honestly, I'm just amazed by the sheer amount of methods these Monarch builds put out to make sure the enemies stay away. This build has double concussion missile to just knock people unconscious and away from you, Stormbringer and Neurospike aid in this too, and also an Argonaut shield along with Spotter to aid a fellow artillery too. And I also do have to make at least a single mention of Monarch build with Black Spot, because Black Spot not only act as another source for lock-on, but any seeking weapon get more accurate against the same target, even if said seeking is granted from Monarch's trait. This obviously synergize well with Monarch and its missile. Burst Launcher is also a launcher weapon which can deal heat and impair enemy, so it can be very annoying. Both Burst and Black Spot works with external batteries too, since both deal energy damage, extending their range. With Neurospike to keep things away and Pepcock for some occasional tech support, this Monarch will always have space to breathe and fly in. This is a 100 dimension of guns. Remember how Mimic Gun is all the gun types at once, this means that both of Monarch's traits work with it too, and with Crackshot, Senti-Main, and Stormbringer, the target will feel a lot of pain at once, especially with Open Door to make sure they fail their save. If Mimic Gun is not cooperating, you also have Sisyphus and Ferris Lash to support your allies, along with Eye of Horus to reveal hidden and invisible target. Drone Monarch, let's talk Drone Monarch. With 15 sensor range, any drone Monarch can easily cover a wide area. Sentinel and Hive drones can give quite a bit of pain to anything that stands too close, and Turret drone can give allies more damage, but the most interesting part of the build is the Vorpal gun. Since Ordnance Tag basically does almost nothing to it due to its reaction-based nature, a range 10 Vorpal gun is a very scary weapon to protect your allies with. Here's another drone Monarch. Assassin drone can be very shooty, and with Monarch sensor range, Ghast Nexus can reach quite far with it as it's half a drone, and with Open Door, Hive, and Tempest drones can be extra painful. This is Big Red Hind, because controller isn't limited to just hacker or drone commander only. So, this Monarch can not only fly, but it also has Stun Crown. Stun Crown can jam everyone in a massive radius if they aren't in cover from you, and flying, basically lets you ignore most cover by being over them. This can get quite devastating if you use it right. Not only that, you have flash charges which can stop anyone inside from shooting outside, and with Heavy Gunner 3, you can immobilize anyone that gets shot on move. Combine the two, and the enemies get rather ineffective. As if this Monarch is still worried that someone can still shoot them, it has reactive weave, flicker field, and a rather high evasion. It's definitely well protected. And that's it for all the artillery controller build. There's just so many things you could do with that big of a sensor range. Now let's move on to the artillery support build. This is Big Brother is watching, and it has unhinged chronology which can both speed up allies and prevent enemy from reacting, and anti-linear time to yoink conditions from your more precarious allies. It also has Grease Monkey to supply your allies, almost everything a team needs. Yet despite all that, it can still pack quite a punch with all its ranged weapons, so you are never at a loss for firepower. This is basic Snipetillery, and while the support shield is more self-serving to provide protection for itself, the shield is so big that your entire team could fit in it with space to spare. Black Spot could not only work well for Monarch in general, but also the rest of the team because accuracy and lock-on are two things everyone wants. Thermal Rifle could also serve in a pinch as one of the few GMS weapons that can pierce armor. This is its dust consumed by endless rainfall, and despite all the arsenals, 3 out of 4 talents it have are excellent support talents, and it also has Pepcock and Ferris Lash for tech and movement support. And finally, this is exaggerated swagger of a Mimic Gun. Most of its focus is on the Mimic Gun and the shenanigans it can provide, but this build also has Lotus Project and Marker Light. One can uncover hidden and invisible targets, and one can guarantee critical hits. Also, Erros 1 can be used to move your allies too. Invade can be used on your allies safely if they want it, keep that in mind. As you can see, All 4 of these artillery support builds can support their allies very well without sacrificing most of their firepower at all, making them quite the definition of fire support. Now let's move on to the weirder part of the Monarch build, the Striker Monarch builds. I'm not sure whether it's a spontaneous case of genius or something, but both of these Striker builds are almost the same. Both plan to use Gaiji's DD288 after launching a row of javelin to punch someone right through them for big damage. Also both can fly, because it's not terrifying enough. Both still have Sharanga missiles, so they aren't entirely abandoning Monarch's traits, and they are also fast enough that they can legitimately be effective Striker builds. This one is more or less completely abandoning Monarch's missile trait, with its sole ranged weapon being the Cannibal, which, with Supermassive, has a knockback of 4, combine that with a ram, and you can basically send a target right through a row of javelin rockets for more damage. This build is also a full-on grapple build with synthetic muscle netting and Titanomachi for grapple ram combo, along with hardpoint reinforcement to get out of sticky situations. It's basically something that Monarch probably shouldn't be, but it will murder you if you say that. As for the Striker Controller Monarchs, this is Nailed It, which basically has the strategy of nailing someone onto the ground with Impaler or Webjaw, and then shoot them with Delayed Piñaka. This build also has Juggernaut. You can easily ram someone right onto Javelin or Caltrip for even more damage and pain. And this is Substratospheric Sucker Punch. The whole point of the build is get lock on from somewhere and smash enemies apart with the Heavy Gunner Hammer. Speed 7 is quite fast for a size 2, and Bulwark lets you run a lot faster. Siege Ram is there to ram down target for easier hit. Horo S1 to move people around, preferably right into a row of Javelin. The only problem I have is the Autopod. You are going to consume lock on the most, but Autopod only works if anyone else consumes the lock on, not you, so it's gonna be a lot less useful. And finally, there's the Lighthouse, a Striker support Monarch. Once again, Hammer plays the main damage role due to its high damage, but it's also rather short range. This Monarch also has a wide array of support tools, like FABI mod, turret drones, and Pepcock. All 3 benefit from Monarch's large sensor range. Black Spot can provide accuracy support yet again, while Veil Rifle provides cover instead. Of course, the hammer could also be used to discourage anyone from getting close, especially with Heavy Gunner around. And that's it for all 40 of the Monarch builds, even the weird Striker one that's actually quite effective. As always, I would like to thank everyone that has submitted their submissions for this episode. It is wonderful to read through all that creativity, but now I'm kinda worried, because the topic for the next episode is the sky. I'm seriously worried for what I'm about to witness for the next pile of submissions. Anyway, with everything done, I will see you all next time. Hello there. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell button. If you really want to support my channel, you could visit my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.